Hello traders, it is Sunday, November 17th, and it's time for my weekly video. We've had a lot of exciting price action going on the last 2 weeks. Before we get into that, if you like the content that I produce, please hit the thumbs up button. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. You'll never miss any of these videos. And that'll also help me reach more traders because it'll elevate the traffic to my channel. I start every one of these videos off with a review of my previous pick. In fact, today what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through my previous 6 picks. I still like every single one of them. And when I do that, you're able to see how these trades have actually played out. That's the only way that you're going to have enough confidence to learn more about this system that I'm teaching you. So let's take a look at what we've got. We're going to do some market analysis. We've had some volatility, and then we're going to find our pick for next week. So if I go through the list, this is in no particular order. Dash, I think, was about a week old or so. We had a really nice move higher for Dash, so lots of opportunities to take gains along the way. I'm going to zoom in a little bit so that it's clearer. Love this breakout in here. I love Dash. In every single one of these cases, we're waiting for a dip. We want to buy the dip. We're getting a dip. We want these dips to be brief and shallow. We want most of the recent gains to be preserved. We want to see relative strength. All of those things tell us that institutions are still interested. And again, the perspective that you have to keep is that these institutions are not looking to buy the stock for the next 3 hours or the next week and a half. They are putting money to work for the next year or 2 years or 3 years. So they don't care what the S&P did on Friday. And so when we see these stocks hold up very well during a market decline, then we know that institutions are fairly aggressive buyers. And these market dips, we should welcome. We shouldn't think, oh my God, that's a huge move against me. I didn't see that coming. We should be welcoming those pullbacks because those are going to confirm the strength in the stocks that we are already long. And it's going to help us identify new prospective stocks that we might consider buying. So, Dash, I love it. If it pulls back to AVWAP-E, half of this long green candle will be preserved. I like it, and the stock will move higher. I don't consider this to be a huge retracement. And yes, we'll get into it, but you can see how the market sold off Thursday, sold off Friday, and now we're at that previous breakout level. So we're going to talk about that, but this is not the end of the world, okay? Tesla, that was the pick that I gave you a week ago. I love Tesla. Tesla looks great. You can see how after that video, the stock shot higher. Okay, but I was telling you I want to buy dips on all of these stocks. So you should be setting alerts. And on Tesla, let's take a look at the M15 chart. We are going to be setting alerts for an M15 buy signal. I'm going to right click, create alert, go in, go down to my trade signals, use an M15 basis. I could use M5 if I wanted to be more aggressive. M15 is going to work. Save that. And it's going to work because we can currently see that the stock was on a sell signal and now it's on an exit. So it just needs to flip to a buy signal. And when I get that, let's say that the stock rallies up nicely and it gets above this gap higher right in here. If that's when I get my buy signal, I'm going to feel pretty good about it because the stock has been able to preserve most of its gains. And that long green breakout candle right there. That's what I want to see. And that's also a support level at AVWAP-E. I don't think the stock is going to retrace that far. Look at what the stock did on Friday. It actually closed higher than the open when the market sold off hard. The S&P 500 was down 100 points. What did the stock do? It closed higher. That tells me buyers are there. TWLO. Take a look at that daily chart. That was right in here somewhere when I had it on my video, or perhaps it was in a live event. That stock has continued to surge higher. Now, when you get a big move like this, okay, and almost parabolic, and then you get a bearish engulfing candle, which was just about that off of that new all-time high, yeah, this is where you should start taking profits on it, okay? It's going to need time to digest these gains. So TWLO would be one of the exceptions where I would not be looking to buy it right now because I want to see it pull back, maybe even to AVWAP-E around that $90 level. And then I want to see it bounce very sharply off of that level, perhaps with a bullish hammer formation, something that tells me that buyers are once again aggressive. And you can see massive, massive volume. This is not retail Joe in here. These are institutions buying this stock and buying that breakout. RDDT. I mentioned to you weeks ago, I absolutely love this breakout on a long-term basis. I'm talking swing trade, 6 months, even a year out. Very rare for you to hear me give you that type of long-term analysis, but I've seen the breakout. It's a social media platform. IPO a year ago. These breakouts after earnings like this tend to really gain traction. I think Reddit's going to be a good one for a very long time. So I'm taking a longer term perspective on it. Yes, if it pulls back to AVWAP-E, I'm going to be watching the market. I'm going to be watching the stock. I'd like to see some relative strength coming in. It has been able to preserve most of the gains. It did not roll over and go into this gap like the market did, okay? So you're always making comparisons to what the market is doing. PANW, I'll save for last. CLS is one that I showed you back in here. I love this little breakout here. Love the post-earnings breakout and the fact that the stock was able to hold gains, preserve AVWAP-E, and then it was starting to move higher. This has been just an absolutely gorgeous stock to own. What would I want to see it do from here? Well, look, you can see a big drop on Friday, and the stock closed on its high of the day. Very stubborn. Put up that 5-minute chart, and there you can see the stock finished higher than the open. It finished above the prior day's close. These are bullish setups, okay? And look at the volume in here. This is a great stock to own. I really like CLS. So if we get any kind of market follow through selling, it's gonna be a good one. So we set alerts on CLS. What could you use? Maybe the open from that candle. So click GTC, click the open of that long red candle. If we get above it, I want to know about it. It's probably going to be a good entry point. PANW is a stock that I showed during our live event on Wednesdays. Please make sure to attend those live events. We do them about 2.5 hours after the open on Wednesday. We answer all of your questions, or at least we try to get to all of them. And I think it's a chance for you to hear what other traders are wondering, and you're probably going to have some of those same questions. We do all sorts of stock analysis. I really like PANW, but I'd mentioned we need to be able to buy a pullback. And now as I look at the chart, I see a red E, 1120. So it's going to have earnings this Wednesday. So for right now, I'd kind of be avoiding it, but I did like that breakout that we got on a weekly chart. You can see that horizontal breakout. And the daily chart, the stock did pull back a little bit from that Wednesday event, but you can see on an M5 basis, let's scroll out a little bit. So there's the live event is in here. There's no buy signal, and that's what we're going to do is set a buy signal alert. So even on an M5 basis, you're just sticking with this sell signal. You're not shorting the stock. You're waiting for that buy signal. So What if the market bounces Monday? Should I buy PANW ahead of earnings on Wednesday? Probably not, because you're going to have to be in the trade and out of the trade by Wednesday. Stocks tend to be a little choppy heading into the number because you have position squaring by large institutions. So I think we're going to be able to find many better stocks than PANW. But if I wanted to, for the heck of it, show you how easy it is, just going to go in, I'm going to create that alert, trade signal, M5, boom, boom, done. I don't even have to look at it again. If I get a buy signal in here, I'm going to know about it. If I wanted to keep a very close eye on it, and let's say that PANW was a stock that I really wanted to own and that earnings weren't coming up, GTC, click on that price right there, and all of a sudden, if the stock goes in the gap from Friday, I get an alert, and that's the type of price movement that I would be looking for. I need to see it get into that gap before I'm even remotely interested in it. So let's take a look at the market. Let's see what the market's doing. So we've got a choppy, fairly choppy move higher. You can see how we're getting into this stair step type of pattern where get a dip, get a dip, get a dip, and then the market recovers. Well, in here, as I had mentioned about 2 weeks ago, I had told you that we have lots of news coming up. We have mega cap tech earnings coming up. We had major economic releases coming up. And that's when we got this little dip, was actually on that jobs report. So once that dust settled, then we had the election on Tuesday and the FOMC statement on that Thursday. So in here, I like this support on the 50-day moving average. I'd mentioned to you this is kind of a good window for us to take some long positions, or you could sit on the sidelines too. If you didn't like having all that news come together, it's okay. But research suggests that we are going to get a post-election rally. It's a relief rally. Regardless of who won, there's going to be a relief rally. The only thing that we didn't want was a recount and a long drawn-out process to find out who actually won. And so if we look at the last 6 elections, 4 of them, we've got a relief rally after the election. We even had that on a 5th one, but that one was in 2000, and as the indecision grew, hanging chads, recounts, then the market sold off. But the day after, the market was actually a little bit higher. The only exception that we've had in the last 6 elections was in 2008 when President Obama was elected. We were in the heart of a financial crisis, and the market sold off hard after that election result. So in general, we're kind of looking for this rally in here that we could join on a breakout. So we're ready. Don't necessarily have to be loaded up on longs in here. You can wait for the news, and we get this nice breakout. Okay, big gap up that held, and then we had some really nice follow-through buying. But the candle bodies were fairly small, and the market was not able to advance in here. So in here, you get this relief rally, and there probably were some people that thought, oh, this is going to be great. Republicans took the House. Republicans took the Senate. This is a convincing win for Trump. He's going to do some great things economically. And the market rallied, and retail traders would have been piling in here as well. And there might have been some short covering for anyone that was short at the prior high. The point is that there wasn't a catastrophic reaction. And so now we get this rally up, but the market's hitting resistance. Okay, this is kind of a fluffy move. We had a 5% rally from here to here in less than a week. That's a big market move. You're going to see some profit taking. And now what you're seeing on the backside is this market's going to fall apart. Trump's going to ruin everything. Look at the cabinet that he's picking. Now, I'm not saying that that's what the market is reading into this. That's what the retail mentality is by a lot of traders, okay? They're panicked now. and many of them plowed in on this breakout here, okay? We're long. We're long swing trades from back in here. We're looking to add in here. We did, and now the market is pulling back, but our average cost is way down, probably AV WAPQ, perhaps even down to the 50-day moving average, and we're in stocks that have fared much better than this. I just showed you the last 6 trades that I've highlighted that spans over 3 weeks, and I've got tons that I can show you before then that are holding up beautifully like APP. So yes, the market's pulled back a little bit, but because we're in the right stocks and we're in at much lower levels, our average cost for swing trades is way down. And I'm looking to add. So for all those people who think the market is going to fall apart because Trump was elected, bring it on. Sell all you got, okay? Because I've got seasonal strength working in my favor. I have a Fed that just cut interest rates by 1/4 point. They're dovish. Powell came out Thursday, and he said, yeah, we don't see that we need to be particularly aggressive with our rate cuts right now because economic growth is strong. Okay, that's the kind of environment that I want to be a buyer in. I do not want to be a buyer when economic conditions are starting to weaken and when the Fed's hand is forced. Oh my gosh, here comes that soft patch. Oh my gosh, this looks like it could be a recession. Let's cut interest rates. That is a very slippery slope. And you're actually seeing China on that type of slope. The PBOC has cut interest rates dramatically because they are seeing real signs of economic decline. In any event, we're not faced with those same things. Yes, we had a soft jobs report. However, that was largely impacted by storms. The storms are gone. And during the cleanup, you're actually going to have pretty decent job growth because there's going to be a lot of construction work that has to be done. In that number, we also had strikes by Boeing. Those strikes have been averted. So that's not going to be an issue. And weekly jobless claims, initial jobless claims on Thursdays have actually been really good. Our last reading was 217,000. That's a low number. So the jobs are still out there. So there's really nothing economically that tells me we're in dire straits here. GDP, 2.8%. Inflation was in line last week. We've got a dovish Fed. ISM services came in somewhere around 56. Now, I love that number because that's a survey of purchasing managers. It is current to forward looking because it's a survey. Almost every other economic release is backwards looking. So purchasing managers are quite optimistic. I don't see any reason from an economic standpoint for this market to roll over, and we have a Fed that has the latitude to cut rates if they want to. Earnings season has been incredibly good, so that should continue. And with regards to who's running the show, Biden, Trump, Obama, it doesn't really matter. Okay, it's really hard to F up this market and this economy. And all you have to do is look at a monthly chart and you can see what the market's done in the course of the last 10 years through all different sorts of administrations. So I see this trend as continuing. I see this trend as being very strong. That tells me that every dip is going to be a buying opportunity. And until you see a double top with a lower high, we don't have to worry about what's to come because every single one of these dips doesn't result in a double top lower high. It results in a new high. And so when you start swing trading, that is the confidence that you have on a longer term basis, is that every dip is going to be a buying opportunity. And that's the case until you get that double top lower high and you're able to stick with your swing positions, because you know that when you do get that double top lower high, and let's say that this are one, you're going to get a big bounce that almost gets back to the prior high. And if this dip is particularly deep and nasty and the bounce is weak and wimpy, you're still going to get the bounce. You'll be able to exit at that lower high and go to the sideline. So there's always time when you have a strong trend like this. It is going to stay intact. So we've got seasonal strength also coming into play. This was a fluffy little move, okay? Market, probably some short covering in here. Yes, now we retrace just from a technical standpoint. I'd like to see this breakout, this prior high hold, and we closed a little bit below it. So that I don't particularly like, but go through the testing process this week. Wham, 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 wham. Can't knock it down? Okay, that's support. Asset managers will come in and they will buy that. By the way, one of the reasons that we see year-end strength is because asset managers like to mark up their portfolios into year-end. When they have more assets under management, the market's at a new all-time high, their management fees are higher. Many of them charge on a percent of assets under management, so that number is higher. They like it when the market closes near the all-time high or the high of the year. And so there's a natural bid to the market. And what they don't want is they don't want to miss that seasonal move higher. So you're going to see some market support in here this week. What should I be leery of? If you see another long red candle down to AVWAP-Q, I don't want to see that on Monday, okay? It would need to bounce, and it would need to bounce furiously off of that level with a bullish hammer closing on its high, getting back into this red candle in here. That's the only way that I would preserve a bullish enough bias to come in and actually step up and add to bullish swing positions. What I think is more likely is you ran up a little bit too far, you're going to pull back, you're going to test the bid, programs are going to find where those buyers are. Asset managers are not going to chase this move up in here. There's not one of them that feels that they are going to miss the next monster rally. So they're not going to chase, but they will buy dips. And that's what you're going to see, is you're going to see a dip, and that's going to give you an opportunity to enter. And the beauty of being patient and waiting for those dips is that when you do eventually get that bounce, like here, you get some nice days of steady trading to the upside. So you might have been very passive in here because you're in long only mode with a strong market trend like that. You do not want to be aggressively shorting. So you're pretty passively day trading shorts in here, and you're waiting to see how deep this dip is. Once you get that dip and you see a breakout back above that 100-day moving average, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days of absolutely beautiful trading from the long side with some overnight swings. Fantastic opportunity. So the money you didn't make in here because you were passive and you were waiting for that support, you made right here when your probability was very, very high. You get another dip down here, support above the 100-day moving average, a retest. Okay, you get long in here. Look at that beautiful price action that you get right through here. Long, 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 buy, 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 buy. All right, Now we're starting to lose the momentum. Everything's starting to compress a little bit in here, so you get a little bit more passive. All right, so you get another breakout in here to a new high. All right, these are nice candles. You've got an opportunity in here. You start kind of stalling out. All right, take your gains. These are the cycles that you have to be able to forecast, anticipate, and when you start seeing these compressed candles and the momentum start to wane after a nice run, you start to take gains and you start to be more passive with your longs. Here's another nice drop. Oh, okay, so we couldn't really get long in here, but now, because we had all that major news, but now that we get this breakout, yeah, you could be in on that move. We can't advance, so better be a little bit careful with our day trading longs. So what I'd like to do is I'm going to show you kind of what we're doing in the chat room, and I'm going to put up my comments from Friday, and we'll be able to take a look at those. And so what you'll see here is these are my pre-open market comments from Friday. Focus on the last paragraph. From a day trading standpoint, I'd be patient today. There's a good chance that we'll see selling the first couple of hours, and it could last most of the day. There was one exception, and that would have been a couple of long green candles instantly into that gap. As I mentioned, that is unlikely. All right, so I'm going to take this and move it off so that we can zoom into the 5-minute chart and see what actually happened. So there's your gap down. And when we get a gap down, the bigger the gap, the more likely it is to hold, to stick, okay? Because there's something that happened overnight. We know that there are a lot of sellers, and in this particular case, I could see Friday, the overnight session, there was a steady drift lower in the SPY. I do take a look at the price action. Normally, your extended hours trading is not going to give you any big tells because you're going to see lots of choppy trading. And what I'm going to do is just show you what the 5-minute chart looked like. That's the selling that I saw before the open on Friday. Okay, this is very steady. Normally, you're going to see bouncing all over the place, up and down. This is pretty persistent. We also had some overseas selling. So overseas markets were relatively weak. Okay, plus the prior day, we had a really nice rally. And then Thursday, we saw a new low of the day that was tested, and we started to see a series of lower highs. That's not particularly good. And I liked what I saw in here. This I thought was an opportunity to get long. We had a long green candle here that erased that long red candle. We poked through VWAP. This is where I would have started to try some longs in here on the notion that we're going to at least get back and test that prior day high. Look at that red candle below VWAP. That is not what I wanted to see, but we got a higher low. Get back to VWAP and a bearish hammer. Right here, anything that I bought in here, I would have gotten out of. I don't like that pattern. I'm seeing a series of lower highs. Couldn't convincingly get above VWAP. Here, we needed to march right higher to the prior day's high. Didn't happen. But if you bought the right stocks, you're going to be okay because those stocks will have weathered the storm beautifully. You might even make money on them, but your losses are going to be tiny. So now we evaluate the price action. Ooh, new low of the day. Didn't like that. All right, we get a bullish engulfing candle almost here. Let's see if it can get some traction and go higher. No, stops below VWAP. Another bullish engulfing candle. Remember, after this type of strength and this type of rally, you're going to have buyers in there. They're going to be trying to get something going. But we keep hitting resistance at VWAP and we close on the low of the day. This is a downward sloping trading channel. No bueno. So the price action on Thursday already told us this is not a good setup. So when I came in Friday morning and I saw the decent gap down, I saw the relatively heavy selling overnight. I knew that the market was going to be in trouble. The only thing that would have given me the maybe we can try longs today is if we had a long solo green candle after compression like this and another one stacked right on top of it that went into a good portion of this overnight gap. Okay? That would have told me that buyers are very aggressive and very interested in buying this dip. But there was nothing to tell me overnight that that was going to happen. In fact, contrary to that. So we get this first nice long green candle, and I had referenced it in the chat room, and I said, all right, well, there's first one in the gap, new high of the day. Now we need another one. As soon as I saw this long red candle, game over. That was a sign that this was going to get smacked down and that there was more selling to come. So don't take my word for it. You shouldn't take anyone's word for anything. And I'm doing a lot of writing, so that's what I really focused on this weekend. So I outlined the bullish pattern that I would be looking for. Long green candle that engulfs the early candles, fly into the gap. There's maybe a 20% chance of this happening. And then you can see my next comments here. No one's worried that they're going to miss a year-end rally. There's that green candle, but it was not convincing. At this stage, it's a solo to attract dip buyers. We need instant follow-through into the gap. Big tell. Okay, this is 25 minutes into the open. Big tell. That long green candle was instantly reversed. No chance we go into the gap early. Good chance we go lower. So then I posted my comments. From this point on, it was very obvious to me that we were going down. Here's your next support level at 586. Given the drop that we've seen, we're going to see most of those gains during the course of the first 90 minutes. Then we're going to compress. We're likely to get a bounce somewhere during the day, and that bounce is going to fall short of VWAP. That'll provide us with another opportunity to short. That's the last comment that I made Friday. And so let's go and take a look at that. This was a mini bounce. I was looking for something a little bit taller, but that's all we got. Bounces are brief and shallow. That tells us sellers are firmly in control. So there was a nice short that's set up. If you're a pro, you can trade the short side. You can trade anything. You can trade the long side. I don't care what you do because you're going to know how to identify when there are market lows and reversals coming, and you're going to not overstay your welcome. You're going to get out of the trade. In this case, it was pretty persistent selling. We're way below VWAP, and we never were able to challenge it. A couple times we tried. Wham, wham. That's what leaves those long wicks. So no, this market was not going to be bouncing, and we didn't get a bounce until late in the day. So now we've got a nasty little sell-off here, and this looks very toppy. So we don't need to be aggressive with our buying. Every single dip that we've seen this year has been bought. Has been bought, has been bought, has been bought, has been bought. This one is going to be bought too, okay? I'm going to be buying it. Asset managers are going to be buying it. You should be buying it. We just have to wait for support, okay? So don't freak out. Don't start getting all short and, oh, this thing is going to go to hell in a handbasket. I knew it. I've been waiting for this. I knew this was going to happen. That kind of thing is not going to do you any good. It's going to do me good because it's going to provide sellers who are going to sell to me at a very good price because I am going to be a buyer. I will be a buyer of any of these stocks that I have highlighted in the last 6 weeks, exception being TWLO because it's run up so dang much. So let's go in and let's find some stocks. I'd love to see support hold right about that 586 level. Bang, 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 bang. The more they try and drive the market down and aren't able to, the more it's going to show us that buyers are interested in supporting the market. If we drift down to AVUAPQ, I'm okay with that even. We'll fill in a little bit of this gap right here. That's okay. I don't mind that. Anything above the 50-day moving average, I'm okay with. Let some of this volatility run out. We're all good. And the one thing that could have gotten the market a little bit spooked is if we weren't able to raise the debt ceiling. That's got to happen before 2025 with Republicans having all of Congress and the presidency. I think that's going to be pretty easy. They'll at least be able to kick that can down the road into January and then get the debt ceiling extended. So not worried about it, but that could have been a possible little speed bump into year end. We have no news next week. I looked at the calendar. There's hardly anything, like Philly Fed maybe. The news is very, very light. And then after this week, we start heading into the Thanksgiving holidays. So the trading is really going to slow down in here. And we're looking for support, support, support. When we find that support, the market is most likely to drift higher on light volume into year end. So that's what I'm looking for, and that will provide us with a good entry point. And then typically after Thanksgiving, you just see this float higher if the trend has been strong to that point, which the trend has been strong. So nobody wants to sell. Everybody's a passive buyer. They're not going to chase big runs higher, big gaps higher. They're not going to do that, but they are going to be dip supporters. So knowing that there's support gives you the confidence to buy on the dip. That's what you should be doing the rest of the year. That's what you should have been doing all in here. And that's what we've been advocating. So you get a nice run up like this, be in profit taking mode and start to exit some of your shorter term swing trades. If you're a longer term swing trade, you're just looking for places to add. If you're a day trader, you're going to be favoring the long side, but after some selling like this, you got to make very, very sure that that support is firm before you start trading from the long side. So let's go in. This has been a little bit of a lengthy video, but I know a lot of you are super concerned with what you saw Friday, and you're worried as heck. Don't be. You know, if you had some shorter term swing trades on, like you were trading weekly calls, yeah, you're going to take a beating. If you had calls on that were 2 or 3 weeks out from expiration, you're going to take a beating because your timing had to be impeccable. And now you've got this pullback, and it's going to take you a longer amount of time to find support and then to rally off of it and then to get back where you were. Don't buy short-term options, folks. Please. I mean, if you're a pro, fine. You can buy call debit spreads, but you would do so sparingly. Buy options with lots of time if you're a longer-term swing trader. And then you don't have to time these wiggles and jiggles. And there are times when you can trade shorter-term call debit spreads. I showed you one of those opportunities right in here. I showed you one of those opportunities right in here. I showed you one of those on this breakout right in here. There was an opportunity in here. Brief one, but there was an opportunity. Now that you get the dip, you're waiting for that support. Then you're going to have another opportunity to do some shorter term call debit spreads. So that's how you need to time your short term weekly call trading if you do it at all. But most of you are so far behind the 8 ball that by the time the market's up here, this is where you're considering doing call debit spreads. Buy the dip, buy the dip. I'm going to buy the dip. I'm going to buy the dip. When you get a dip, you go, holy shit, look at this thing sell off. I'm not going to put my head in that noose. I'm not buying that dip. And then the market runs up and you go, oh, I missed that move. Wow. Well, now it looks pretty good. And then the market doesn't go anywhere because you missed the meat of that move. You missed that little reversal off of that dip when you actually had some aggressive asset managers buying. So this is where you want to be fairly aggressive with your shorter term trades. But as you get into here, your long-term stuff is going to be absolutely fine, especially if you're picking stocks with long-term strength and you're swing trading with a, say, 1 to 3 month time horizon on them. And if you're doing that, buy options that have 3 months worth of life that are in the money and span earnings, not weekly options. It's how you lose a lot of money because you have time decay working against you and your entry has to be perfect. So what are we going to do? What stocks are we going to find? I had a couple of stocks. I'm going to go into my heavy buying search. Okay, this is from Friday. And I'm going to take a look. I could go through a bunch of these stocks. Actually, quite a few of them look good. PLTR. Let's look at PLTR. Wow, look at that gap up. Look what the stock did on Friday. That's what the market did on Friday. Down, down, down. This stock went up. What's that daily chart look like? Oh, it looks fantastic. Well, of course, we've been on PLTR since back in here. I've been reluctant to mention it again because we've had it highlighted so often. PLTR looks fantastic. It's a little overextended, a little overheated in here because it's above the EMA 8 and above AVWAP E. So I'd love to buy a dip on this stock. I just don't know that I'm going to get one. And if I don't, that's okay. I'll just have to let it go. Right click, create alert, M5, trade signal, buy it if I get one, and the pullback is brief and shallow, I'm going to do that. I'll set one on an M15 basis because that dip is going to be a little bit more considerable because it's a longer time frame. So let's see if I get one. I don't have to look at PLTR again. Now I just wait for the alert and then I evaluate the dip. I would love to buy something that is right around the open of this long green candle, but I don't want it to retrace very quickly. At maybe 2 or 3 day time period, I want these gains to hold. I want to know that these buyers are for real. If we start pulling back and we start filling in this gap, I'm not going to be that confident about it. If we pull back to VWAP from Friday, yeah, that's good. I don't mind a pullback of that magnitude, especially if the market is going down. I'm expecting the market to find support. When it does, PLTR is going to be a good buy. And in the process of it finding support, check that VWAP. Yeah, I'm good with that. Really good with that. So that's definitely a stock that I would look at. And let me take a look at a search that I ran. Very easy search. I mentioned in the chat room on Friday, ADX measures trend strength. Hard to get ADX above 35, but when it is, it tells you that that stock is in a strong trend, up or down. I'm looking for a bullish ADX on an M5 basis. I want to see a stock that's above the prior day's high. I want to see a stock that's got good option liquidity. Run the search, and here's what you get. So the thought process behind this is, on a bloodbath market day like we had on Friday, what in the hell, if anything, looks good? Is there anything that actually trended higher during the course of the day on Friday? Yeah, there are actually quite a few stocks, and they all look really good and really strong. So we're going to take a look at them. I'm going to start with coin because one of our traders in the chat room, Dave Wise, phenomenal trader, spotted coin as a really nice lotto trade. Buy out of the money calls on Friday before expiration when the market is absolutely tanking, and this stock would have shown up on the list, and it had strong trend strength, and you can see that was just a beautiful trade. Stock rallied about $6, and you can buy these options for pennies, but yes, coin was on the list. What's the D1 look like? Checks the breakout, bounces off of that breakout. Nice. Heavy volume, confirmation of this breakout. Big rally Friday. Yeah, I like coin. I think coin is going to continue to move higher. The price action Friday, pretty much all you need to see. BAC. I like BAC. There's a downward sloping trend line, breakout to the upside, able to hold that horizontal support, bullish hammer, and now it's grinding higher. BAC could easily be your pick of the day. Look at that strength on Friday when the market was absolutely tanking. BAC wants to go higher. It's another stock I really like, IP. So this is a choppy, chunky stock. Look at that drop right in there. That's pretty nasty on a 5-minute basis, but look at that rally. That's pretty nice. Decent volume in here too. Daily chart. Ooh. See, this stock does make some pretty decent moves, but it is choppy, okay? In here, it's just kind of grinding higher, stair-stepping. Nice breakout. Preserves all of that earnings gain right in here. Long green candle closing on its high. Gets a little overheated. This is international paper, so by all means, a very boring company. Pulls back to the EMA 8, pulls back to AVWAP-E, big rally Friday. Possible bullish flag formation. Lumber. They also have access to lots of lumber. Maybe this is housing related. Fed lowers interest rates. Both parties are talking about increasing housing. So that could be in play here. We don't really care. We care that that long green candle was preserved. We care that the stock found support at AVWAP-E. We care that the stock rallied hard on heavy volume Friday when the market was in meltdown mode. IP could be my long pick of the week. I like all of them. I like BAC actually as well. PLTR looks fantastic to me. It's a little overextended. I can go with any of them, but because I try and zero in on one stock, which one am I going to pick? Tough choice, actually. But I am sticking with longs. It might be BAC. Let's take a look at that weekly chart. Zoom way out. Dip, breakout, holding, advancing. Yeah, I'm going to go with BAC. It's a bank. Okay, so one thing about banks, they're choppy as heck. Retracement, 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 15-minute chart. Look at this choppy, chunky crap, okay? BAC, not going anywhere fast, but probably going to grind higher. So you would right-click, set your alert, trade signal. I'm going to go M15 because it's so dang choppy, it's bound to retrace. Every one of these moves retraces, so I don't need to chase it. And I'm going to take another look at IP. See if I like that 15-minute chart better. It's trying to get through this horizontal resistance. And this is a nice dip to buy. I don't feel like I'm chasing this stock at all. IP is going to be my pick, but it's going to be my pick only when the market finds support, and it's going to need to find support for a couple of days. This is some pretty heavy selling off of the high. Okay, it's going to take a couple of days with no news for this selling pressure to work off. So create alert, trade signal, M15, add it. All right, when I get a trade signal for the market on an M15 basis, a buy signal, I'm going to feel pretty confident, especially if this was resistance, now support, holds. I'll be less excited if we pull back to a VWAP E, but I'll still be excited. And I expect some follow through selling the first couple of days. Really like to have that support hold. I am looking to buy. I cannot be any more firm than that. I just want to let this drop take its natural course, let it find support, evaluate the dip, and when I see that support, I'm going to be ready to buy. Most of you will freak out and you'll think this is some kind of top coming in and that the bottom's going to fall out and you won't buy. So that's something that you're going to have to work on and something you're going to have to get over. 15-minute basis. And you can see where the trade signals, if I have them up, come into play. And so you can see the trade signals. That's a gorgeous buy signal in there. And here, market's compressing, so there's not really anything much. You get a sell signal here, but you don't need to take advantage of that till you get a breakdown below that low. Here you can get short, okay? So the signals are excellent. That's a type of analysis I'm going to be doing. And I'm going to be looking for IP during any kind of market retracement to really hold that $57 level. I want to see it hold that so steady and so strong that even this market selling can't drive the stock down. If I get that, I'm going to know that this dip is going to be a good one to buy and that a bullish flag formation is setting up with support at AVWAP-E. That's how we trade, and that's how we're going to trade. Please give this video a thumbs up. Help me reach more traders. Those are your marching orders. We've got a live event on Wednesday. I hope you can join us for that because we answer lots of questions and we review a lot of stocks. Trade well. Stay on the long side with your longer term swing trades. Look for that support. It's going to be an opportunity to buy, and we're going to have some year-end strength. Thanks so much for watching, everyone. We will see you Wednesday.
Thank you for watching this YouTube video. I'm Pete Stolzers, and I'm going to keep the trade ideas coming along with lots of education, so make sure to subscribe to the channel and please turn on your notifications so that you never miss another trade. If you like the content, please give it a thumbs up. I've loaded 2 other videos that I think you're really going to enjoy. Stay tuned. We'll see you soon.